I've been grinding away, rebuilding some of the worst teams in the league, some dumpster fire situations like the Giants and the Jets and the Titans. And I want a little bit less of a challenge today. And speaking of the Titans, they just traded away DeAndre Hopkins to this Kansas City Chiefs team. And yes, Hopkins is moving into the twilight of his career. He did have 1,000 yards last season. And while I don't think that that's super important, it doesn't really say that much. With an 18-week season, you play 17 games, you can average 55 yards a game and still hit 1,000 yards. It's not that crazy, right? However, Hopkins did that with, less than stellar quarterback play, and that's kind of been, unfortunately, the trend for his career. Maybe moving him to Patrick Mahomes could ignite a fire. Who knows, right? He could be better. Like, his game was never predicated on being the most athletic player. He's physical. He catches the ball. He can create separation in nifty ways rather than just being quicker or faster for the most part. I know Mahomes has struggled in 2024, but I think a lot of that is lack of receiving threats, right? Like, Xavier Worthy's a rookie. He's a deep threat. He's going to space the field out. Hollywood Brown has been injured. Rashee Rice almost killed people and then was injured severely by Mahomes, actually. Mahomes, the vigilante. But now you have DeAndre Hopkins. You don't have to throw the ball to Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Justin Watson. DeAndre Hopkins is a notable upgrade. Also, MVS is just on the Saints now. I meant to say Mecole Hardman. Also Sky Moore in there as well. So it's not a stellar group. Oh, and Boo Boo Schuster. That's him as well. That's true. So the actual trade is a conditional 5th round that can be as much as a 4th. Let's see if that would actually go through. He's an 89 overall, but 32 years old, final year of his deal. I'm going to say no. I'm going to offer up the 4th, the highest possible return. And they don't really seem all that interested. But here's the thing. It's actually very easy to trade for a player, even if the other team doesn't want to trade them. And it starts with gaslighting. This is an important thing to add to your playbook, fellas. You just say, hey, Tennessee, we trade for DeAndre Hopkins, we'll give you a 4th round pick. And they go, a 4th round pick for our best receiver, best player on the team? No way. And you go, receiver? DeAndre Hopkins is a punter. What are you talking about? And they go, punter? Yeah, all right. Yeah, we'll gladly take a 4th round pick. And then you can have DeAndre Hopkins. And then we go, oh, DeAndre Hopkins a punter? We're going to try him at wide receiver. Okay, we just auto-generated the draft class. The cool thing about using Kansas City is we don't even need to consider quarterback at all. However, there is a wide receiver projected to go number 1 overall. This might be a player we want to get in position for, even with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. Hollywood Brown might not be here next year. Rashee Rice is, probably a big part of the future of this team. And I like Xavier Worthy a ton. Hook him. However, we could certainly use another guy. Let's go ahead and rearrange the way this looks. So, everybody healthy and in here. That's the way these rebuilds work. Otherwise, guys just get injured at an insane rate. So, we do have Isaiah Pacheco now, and Hollywood Brown, and Rashee Rice. Here's what I want to do. I don't really care about Hollywood Brown. I'm going to play Xavier Worthy over him. And Rice, Hopkins, and Worthy will be our 3. Don't really care about Boo Boo Schuster or Hollywood Brown or Mecole Hardman. Mahomes, I know he struggled this year. The interception touchdown ratio, I said that in the wrong order. Touchdown interception ratio is not good. Whatever, right? Like, there are circumstances that have hurt his play. I'm not saying individually he's been amazing. So 97 throw power, you got a 98 at least from Mahomes. And yeah, the 1 does matter to me. Because maybe there's a difference between him and Josh Allen, who should have 99, or Joe Milton, who should have 99, even though he's not accurate. Mahomes should be right there. I mean, he's got an unreal arm. Anyway, he's still arguably the best player in the league. Now, Lamar Jackson's playing better than anyone this year. Jared Goff has been incredible. But I'm not going to take a rough stretch from Mahomes with bad tackle play and no receivers and say, this guy stinks now. It's just obviously not, right? I am going to try and develop Kingsley Suamataia. Jawan Taylor I could be done with. The interior O-line's great. Travis Kelce's aging. We know that. And then defensively, they've got a lot of players I really like Nick Bolton, but he just really isn't much in space, but he's great coming downhill. Leo Chanel. I love Leo Chanel. He is also great coming downhill. And that's a lot of what these linebackers can do. Drew Tranquil maybe is like more of your coverage linebacker. And he's a solid player, but I think we could probably end up doing better than him. But for right now, he's fine. I like Justin Reed. I love Jaden Hicks. In fact, I probably even want to start Jaden Hicks over Brian Cook. So I might move Justin Reed to free safety. And then I think defensively, we also need to focus on the pass rush. I like the potential of George Karlaftis. Chris Jones is obviously an animal. I want to do better than Mike Dana, Beckham Horse, Charles Amenahu, and Felix Anyadike-Uzama. We might start him for the development potential. He's only 22 years old, not even 23, 22. So there's something there. Like, this Chiefs team has a ton of potential in Madden. It's why they're so successful every single year in these sims. And then, of course, I love Trent McDuffie. This is just, they've drafted so many players I loved in the draft, and they've done so well. I mean, Jalen Watson is a really solid player that they got late as well. Shamari Connor. But McDuffie, of course, first-round pick. I still don't know why he fell all the way to 22 or whatever it was. He was a top 10 player in the draft. No question. I had that at the time. I obviously still feel that way. Yeah, let's move Justin Reed to free safety over Brian Cook. I just want to start Jaden Hicks. Great. The weaknesses of this class. Left tackle. Definitely something we would have considered. Not anymore. But I do like wide receiver, DT, and CB. That seems good. Wow, 50-49 against the Bengals in week 2. That is a crazy game. That is one of the craziest score lines I've ever seen in simulation. I know we changed this team around a little bit. I want to figure out what to do with Leo Chanel. Why would BJ Thompson be... What is going on at rush right end? I got to try and fix this. It just does that by default. Why does it do that? Also, Xavier Worthy only has 98 speed. He ran the fastest 40 time ever. And I know there's more to speed than just running fast at the combine, you know, to actually be on the field. But he also is really fast on the field. I don't know. So 5-1 at the midseason mark. How does that play against the rest of the league? Pretty well. Pretty well. I would say that, you know, I expected some of these teams to do a little bit better. Like the Ravens are only 3-4. But we're owning the AFC at this stage, and it's weird that it doesn't show the NFC on any type of a tab. So, I don't know if that's the case. Commander's actually 6-1. We'll set our national focus scouting for corner, and then I would say probably scout Jimmy Session, that receiver, individually if he appears to be really, really good. It could be a very tough player to get in position for. A, catching, A, deep route running. Speed's only solid, decent. He's going to be a playmaker archetype, surely, right? No, he's physical. 6'2", 221. Am I just going to play him at tight end? A little light to be a true tight end. But at 6'2", 221, he's built kind of like an H-back in a way. Doesn't quite have the size. I'd play him at receiver. I'm not going to be crazy about it. But there's some decent players in this class. Why did I say it like that? I don't really want to have my own draft pick because I think we're going to be really good. So I would like to try and do something here to make some type of move to get rid of my first-round pick and to get somebody else. Now, what could end up being really challenging is dealing with the Mahomes contract and the Travis Kelce contract. He's good for now. He's going to be really productive. We want to keep him. But he's not going to be here the entire rebuild. I mean, there's just no way. We'll need to extend Creed Humphrey. We need to free up a little bit of money. We'll need to extend Trey Smith. DeAndre Hopkins might be on the way out. That's a rental. Justin Reed. I mean, I can't really trade anybody, but we're not going to be able to extend him probably. It's going to be Brian Cook and Jaden Hicks for the future, I would imagine. A lot of these guys are under contract. I got to trade Hollywood Brown right now. And Charles Amenahu probably. The cap hit on this is kind of insane, but it's freeing up money for nothing. Got money for nothing, dire straits. But he's not really playing that much, so try to get something back for him. Okay, trading Hollywood Brown, Charles Amenahu, and a second to the Chargers for their first-round pick, projected to be later down the board. It is a trade in the division, but the Chargers actually had interest in Hollywood Brown, which does make sense as they don't really have any receivers right now. I know Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, but Hollywood Brown would be an upgrade, at least to the depth, if nothing else. And he's just, I mean, Quentin Johnston, he's had a couple nice games so far in 2024. And we'll see what happens with that. We're going to try and trade our first-round pick now to move up. But getting 2 first-round picks is really nice. So we could just hold on to them. But I do want to move up. It's like, what else can I trade, though? Trading Justin Reed just doesn't make any sense. He's just too good for right now. We really need a defensive tackle. This is kind of insane. I would say Derek Nottie is a tradable player. We could look into drafting a defensive tackle, so that's really an option. We're not going to be able to afford half the players on this team. I mean, there's no way. We need to create some space. Okay, this is a very interesting trade. We're kind of biting the bullet and saying Juwan Taylor's not going to be worth near what we're paying him, and he's under contract for a few years. So we're going to take on the dead cap and free up space in the long run. So Juwan Taylor is gone. He's just not very good. He's not worth the money. Mecole Hardman, 3rd round pick, a 1st round pick from the Chargers, actually, and a 3rd next year gets us the Patriots' #1 overall projected pick. Still a lot of time left. We're going to hold on to Nottie, and we're going to pick up a tackle from free agency, which is going to be easier said than done, probably. The veteran Dwayne Brown could be an option. The veteran Jason Peters. I mean, it's really like the same overall as Juwan Taylor. Very similar. There's no development to be done here. He's 42 years old. We're going to pick him up and start him. Justin Watson and MVS in free agency. Bring Justin Watson back. We're just going to hold on to our pick. I don't really know how we're going to move it based on some of the trades we've made. But we do have the Patriots pick, so that's really good. Still hoping we win the Super Bowl, of course. But we have $51 million in 2025 cap room. That is not going to be enough. It's going to be closer than I thought, actually. We have options on Karlaftis and McDuffie. Hopkins is here. I mean, there's almost no way that we can re-sign him. And we probably shouldn't. He's 32 years old, going to be 33. It's just, that's usually how that works, by the way. Just doesn't really make a ton of sense to me to do that. I want Bolton, Smith, and Humphrey for sure. It's just, I know the offensive linemen are going to get really expensive. Now, Creed wants to be here, and he's actually not too expensive. Give him a 6-year deal. He doesn't accept just yet. Trey Smith is going to get a very similar offer. He's a bit more expensive because he plays a more premium position, guard over center. He also says he wants to be here. Is that true? It is. Trey Smith actually re-signs. And then Nick Bolton. I mean, we're going to extend him as well. We're going to get him, I mean, for the rest of his career, really. I mean, you don't see a lot of teams handing out 7-year contracts to linebackers, but we know he's going to stay healthy. That's kind of, and we know he's going to continue to get better. That's one of the things that we know about Madden that, you know, it doesn't happen in the NFL. Progression in this game is linear, up to a point. Where in real life, it's, you know, up and down, potentially. And then it seems like it could be really up, 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 and then suddenly it's just down or plateaus, flatlines. 9.1 million left. And that's factoring in what we've offered Creed Humphrey, so it's going to be something like that. That means no Justin Reed probably, or no DeAndre Hopkins. However, we could potentially franchise tag one of those guys, go into the negative for cap room, and then still keep them and not do anything in free agency, which might just be the way to do it. Also, I didn't talk at all about Jared Wiley. That could be an interesting player to try to develop. Former Texas Longhorn, transferred to TCU for playing time reasons. I thought he might have been even bigger than 6'6". He might be actually 6'7", but he's listed at 6'6", so maybe that's true. 85 speed, 89 acceleration. He can catch. He could be the future of this position if we want. And we're going to try and keep him around. Now, we could have considered trading our first-round pick for a player at the deadline. The only thing I worry about there is just, okay, if we acquire somebody now in a trade, Will we be able to extend them? And if we are able to extend them, or even if they're already under a long-term contract, will we be able to afford other players that we absolutely want to keep? And that's kind of the, tug of war that you're playing with the salary cap. And you can't completely abuse it the way teams do in real life here in the game. So, we actually have to be pretty mindful. Demure, gee, I knew unfortunately where I was going with that. But you have to be mindful about, a lot of the things that you do in this game. A trade isn't just a trade for a player. It oftentimes means that you can't bring back somebody else. So they've actually changed the screen for focus scouting here. I kind of liked the old one. It felt easy to, see their attributes in one bulk area. Here you can't see the most important things all at once, which is kind of frustrating to me. But they wanted it to match with this new screen that they brought in. I do like the new screen. I just don't like it for focus scouting because I like to kind of choose quickly what I want to do. And you can't really do that in this screen. I mean, you could go position by position, I guess. But it's just a little bit, don't love it. But if it's actually going to save who I've picked, and then I could load into a different player card, and still not have everything reset the way it used to, maybe it actually is pretty good. Take a look at Zach Stackhouse. As I said, I am considering linebacker in this draft. Considering tackle, of course. Considering defensive tackle. So Marcus Thomas and Robert Randall look like really good options at defensive tackle. I might lean Marcus Thomas because he also has elite to great speed, but has A, power moves. He's not just a finesse rusher. He only has C finesse moves, in fact. And oftentimes you see the big speed guy who's a finesse rusher, they never really do all that much. But the power rusher at defensive tackle with elite tier athleticism, that's actually super intriguing to me. So Marcus Thomas, we will add. I keep forgetting that the select button is actually Y. And I hate how it keeps moving me back up to the start. But we have our players. Our 3 have been selected. Session at number 1. Stackhouse and Thomas. We are going to have 2 first-round picks, right? One very, very high. And right stick is confirmed player selection. They don't make that very obvious. Anyway, we could consider moving up and down the board per usual, but I might just stick and pick and take that receiver at number 1 overall. He looks like he's going to be incredible, even without upper echelon speed. Well, we went 16-1. It's a pretty good year 1. This is what I was looking for when I said I'm tired of these challenges with some of these bottom tier teams. Of course, had that crazy loss to the Bengals, which didn't happen in real life, of course, and then 1 out. I mean, maybe DeAndre Hopkins was exactly what this team was missing. We are dominating. And we'll check out the stats and awards. I just saw Mahomes' numbers. Oh my goodness. 132.1 on the passer rating, by the way, is wild. But 5,100 yards passing. 59 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions. That's 300 yards per game and 9 yards per attempt. He was only sacked 17 times. Pacheco had about 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. Mahomes added 7 on the ground, 400 rushing yards. What a performance from this offense. Xavier Worthy, 1,400 yards, 19 touchdowns in the slot, over 100 catches. There were 3 receivers who hit the century mark on catches. Kelsey, 106 for 1,155 and 16 touchdowns. Rashee Rice, 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins was wide receiver 4. Well, Kelsey's a tight end, but 81 catches for 959 yards and 6 touchdowns is still a really solid year, production-wise. And he was 4th and wasn't particularly close to number 3. Insane production. But that just goes to show how weird that wide receiver 1 doesn't really matter in playbooks. It's slot receiver, and then wide receiver 2 even gets some run. Wide receiver 3 doesn't even matter. Nobody with 100 tackles, but Drew Tranquill had 8 TFLs. 17 for loss for Chris Jones, 10 for Mike Dan, who only had 1 sack. Our defense wasn't really pressuring the quarterback at all. Nobody at double-digit sacks. Only 2 players above 3.5 sacks. The pass rush needed to improve. Nick Bolton had 6 interceptions. Okay. What a performance. But this is a truly dominant first season. Mahomes will win MVP. Worthy will obviously win Offensive Rookie of the Year, maybe even Offensive Player of the Year, definitely Wide Receiver of the Year. With those numbers, you'd have to expect. So he'll go up to at least Superstar Development, if not even higher. And there's no wild card to speak of. We went 16-1. This is one of those rebuilds where it's obviously not a rebuild at all. We're just trying to win several Super Bowls, and we'll see if we can beat the Jets here to advance to the AFC Championship. That's exactly what happens. The Ravens. Were they not 3-4? They finished 13-4. Okay. Well, we host the playoff game against Baltimore. To go to the Super Bowl, we got to beat Lamar Jackson. As I mentioned at the start of this video, he's playing better than anybody in the NFL right now. He's been on another level. He could potentially be en route to win his 3rd MVP. It's snowing here in Kansas City, Missouri. And we'll see what happens. We are down early, 7-0. I was going to say tie it back up, but a missed extra point means that we only have 13 points right now after another touchdown. But a touchdown and a 2-point conversion makes it 21. Ravens tie it up at 21. This is chaos here in Kansas City, and it's 4th and inches, and they want us to kick a field goal and give the ball back to Lamar Jackson. That's not a terrible choice with 1 minute and 1 second, and Baltimore having no timeouts, but it's snowing. It's an inch. We're going to try and push for it. Mahomes gets there. I don't know if that was too bold of a call, right? But I think you really guarantee a win if you can get a first down there, and that's what we're trying to do. Oh, well, I don't like some of those big hits, though. We have all of our timeouts. This is likely going to be the final play of the game here, final offensive play. We're going to QB sneak. We're going to call a timeout. Mahomes lines it up. 2 seconds on the clock. We will call our final timeout and try to kick a 39-yarder. Got a little bit of wind. Hopefully won't matter. And it won't. Harrison Butker's kick is good as he sends us to the Super Bowl. 24-21 is your final here in Kansas City. Chiefs, per usual, back to the Super Bowl. Wow, Cowboys, Chiefs. What a shocking Madden Super Bowl here. It's only the case basically every year. The old Dallas Texans are now the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Pretty sure. So I've mentioned that like 100 times. Yearly awards. We can go one by one, but Mahomes does win MVP. Andy Reid, Coach of the Year. People ask me why I don't do the names anymore. It cuts it off. You can't even get a first name in there. So how many jokes am I capable of making with just one word? It's hard to do a one-word joke. It really is. People have done it, but it's tough. Mahomes, Offensive Player of the Year. Von Miller, Defensive Player of the Year. Nick Bolton was in the running. Worthy was number 3 for Offensive Player of the Year. Rookie of the Year, of course. Amari last year won it in the AFC, okay, for Defensive Rookie of the Year. But we're not going to go through all of these. Just good to see Worthy in there. Good to see Mahomes, of course, winning MVP, Offensive Player of the Year. It's not going to happen in real life, you'd have to expect. As Xavier Worthy is up to Superstar Development and playing up to a 93 overall as a rookie. Yeah, he looks pretty good. Developing as a route runner. Really developing as a receiver. I mean, 89 spectacular catch. Playing up to 97 catching traffic and 99 catching. Yeah, okay. I love it, though. Horns up, even after a loss to Georgia. We're going to move Worthy into that wide receiver 2 spot, I think. Or actually, you know what we could do? Is go Rice 1. Worthy 3 still, because he's going to be in the slot. And then Hopkins 2. See if he gets some more targets. Joe Tooney up to Superstar Dev. Jason Peters hanging in there at right tackle. Kingsley Suamataia up to an 80 overall. And then defensively, am I seeing any changes here? I mean, Shamari Connor's up to CB2. He has Star Dev. Jaden Hicks, of course, Star Dev. Most of this just looks pretty familiar. Super Bowl time, though. If you want to win several Super Bowls, you got to start with one. CeeDee Lamb's not an X Factor. Feels wrong. Here we go. Super Bowl LIX. Can we get it done? Up 14-10 into the second half already. 21-10, 21-13, 21-21. Do have the football, but after a sack, it sets up second and very long. Under 3 minutes to play. We are jumping in here in New Orleans. That Super Bowl logo is fun for the first time in a while. Play action on 2nd and 18 shouldn't fool anybody. We find Travis Kelce leaking out and gives us 16 back. Mahomes has been intercepted twice in this game. Not what you want to see. But on 3rd and 2, I think we're going to try and run the football. We could wait for this to go all the way down, but we're going to snap it ahead of the 2-minute warning. And Pacheco will pick up the first. Means we can enable chew clock. And the Cowboys really will be forced to call timeouts. If they don't call timeouts, they will have no time to answer. What I imagine happens here is they play for a run stop and then call their first timeout. See if that happens. It doesn't. Is it because it's a tie game? I mean, we're going to bring this clock all the way down. 2nd and 9. We're not going to snap the ball until we absolutely have to. We will run the football. They're surely going to call a timeout. I left a second there. Surely going to call a timeout now. And they do. And I'm okay with that. It brings up 3rd and 6. But now our strategy changes a bit because I don't really care about them, losing another timeout. I want to convert this big 3rd down. We need to play for points. Wiley's open and wide open, and Jared Wiley, no! Balls into the end zone. It's a touchdown to take the lead here with 1:10 to go, but that's the problem, is it's with 1:10 to go. You give the Cowboys the football back. We're really relying on our defense to make a stop. It's just a little bit too much time to feel completely secure in our potential Super Bowl victory. 1:10 to play. Defense, I need you for 1:10. Dallas needs a touchdown. So we can play conservatively, but we don't want to just give them free yards. I don't know. This is always such a tough spot. Onyedika Uzama into the game. Using Nick Bolton. And if we can just keep them inside the lines here, force them to use timeouts and not stop the clock with, getting out of bounds, we're going to be in a decent spot. And that's exactly what we want. Totally fine with a catch there. 44 seconds to play. If that's the route they want to go, we'll totally allow that. And I think we honestly should have run with the slant there. Although, you force them to call their final timeout. I know we were in man coverage, so we really shouldn't have run with that slant, but it felt like the right thing to do, and I ignored it. Oh, that's wide open. Who screwed up there? We were in cover 4. I feel like a linebacker should have been over there. I don't think it was me. I don't think so. Oh, we're going to get torched here up the seam. We had to help with Tranquil. Dak looking to scramble. We're going to need to bring him down. How does he get rid of it? 26 seconds. If we can keep them, there we go. If we can keep them in bounds, a lot of time's going to come off the clock. Final play of the game here for Dallas if they can't get out of bounds. This is going to be it. It's a check down. Dak with a check down. Jake Ferguson can't get 20 extra yards. That's the game. Stupid. Stupid. What are you doing? Between like the scramble and slide to lose a game, I think last year, and now this, Dak has had some real moments at the end of games. The Madden logic is so dumb. It's so stupid. Anyway, year 1 is an overwhelming success. 16 wins in the regular season. Used to mean you were undefeated for a bit of a stretch there. Not anymore, unfortunately. Did lose to the Bengals by 1 point. That was the only negative for us the entire year. We lost by 1 point. Otherwise, we won every single game, including the biggest game of them all, Super Bowl LIX. Dallas goes down. Another Super Bowl in the books for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's had a year 2. All right, we're guaranteeing to draft a difference maker in the draft, which is 80 plus overall, which there's not even an 80 plus overall player in every draft. The other option was make a splash in the 5th or to the 7th and get a 75 overall. Do these Madden scenarios know what their draft classes have? Because these things are often not even possible. Why is that what we're getting? These storylines, dude. I had mild hopes for, I guess, but I don't know. Not a huge fan. All right, time to try to re-sign players. We're in a very similar spot. 40 million now in 2025 cap room. I'm assuming that would be because of some of the trades we made, getting rid of guys on the team like Jawan Taylor. But a lot of these contracts are going to go way up. Like, look at Mahomes, dude. His cap hit is now 66 million. We don't get any type of reprieve until 2028. Chris Jones' contract is crazy as well. Yeah. We're in a really, really tough spot in terms of 2025 cap room. Joe Tooney's going to be unre-signable. I mean, I don't know how we're going to be able to deal with that. Tranquil is expensive. I don't really want to pay Mike Dana. Dana, if I can, will be traded. I'm not paying Noah Gray this much. Noah Gray needs to be traded. I'll take the penalty now. I'm not paying him $7 million back-to-back in 2026 and 2027. No way. We have Jared Wiley now. All right, Creed, I'll give a little bit more money. He wants to be here. I don't want to have to franchise tag him. You don't want to play for a new team. You're a liar. Now I'm going to be forced to franchise tag him. It's only 10.6 million, which is totally cool. I'll pick up the 5th-year option on Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis. We want to keep our window open. Those guys help us do it. 29 million. Nadi's going to have to walk. I think Hopkins is down to an 82, dude. We got him a Super Bowl, okay? We got him a Super Bowl. He's going to want upwards of like 10 million a year to be legitimately not very good. I mean, there's no way. That's, dude, 12.6 million in year 1? No. But we may be able to re-sign Justin Reed for a year. Or even 2. But I think 1 is better. And we can bring the money up. It's a 1-year deal. Over 10 million. Justin Reed returns. That's actually, I'm shocked we were able to do that. We're going to be losing a lot of depth here. We'll need to make it back in the draft. We have 18 million. Nadi for a year or Tershawn Wharton. I mean, Wharton's just so much cheaper. He's not that cheap, though. It's like 7 million a year. We'll bring Nadi back for another year. If he declines this, whatever. But he's going to be back for a year. 8.7 million. Those guys like Justin Reed, Derek Nadi will not be back in 2026. So this is their last hurrah here in Kansas City. We also freed up money by no Jason Peters, etc. Like some of those guys that we signed only for 2024. But I would say that we have no coordinators. Where's Spags? We're just going to hire these coordinators to give us the highest bonuses. Nobody has any talents filled out already. So, I mean, get 92 points for some of these guys, but we're not a 3-4. Does that matter? We'll sign Sammy Rios, I guess. Also, let's just go crazy with trades here. I never really fill this stuff out myself. Usually let the CPU do it, but this will make it way easier for us to trade. And I like that. Especially because we might go kind of crazy here in the draft. Feels like a good idea. We can't quite afford that one. But I like reducing the cost of trading up. That feels like a good one. What do we need here in free agency? We need a punter. Narvison, Why do we have you? We need a punter. Like, we know we also need a tackle, but Wanye, I think it is, can move out to right tackle. He's at least somebody that can play right now, even if he's not all that good. Could have been wise to start him, but I thought we had a better chance with Jason Peters. And, I mean, oh. That's where the money went. Travis Kelce has retired. Okay. You heard Wiley's going to be tight end 1. Our receiver depth chart is barren. Just Worthy and Rice. But I'm really going to consider drafting one. Well, that's where all that money came from. No more Travis Kelce in Kansas City. Kelce era in KC is over. Okay, we're going to try to bring Matt Ariza back, I guess. But I don't really plan on punting very much anyway. He should certainly return. And he hasn't yet, but he will. As expected, Jimmy Session is a top 5 true talent. I think he's going to be... Ooh. We know about another one. Round 1 to 2 projected guy. Number 35 overall. Dimitri Tompkins, only 21 years old, from Louisville. Needs to be a player that we add. How do we go about adding both of them? It won't be that difficult. Okay. Thomas is around 2 to 3 talent. I had high hopes for him. And he looks very good. He looks so good. Why is he only around 2 to 3 talent? Is this just a super stacked draft class? Maybe so. Okay, mock draft 5. Where do we pick? So we pick at number 4. Okay. So the Patriots ended up playing a little bit better. Oh, another rebuilder online. Why is that popping up all of a sudden? Antonio does videos on MLB. I'm going to check him out. DeAndre Ortiz. My face cam actually might have been covering that. But I don't know where this receiver is. Jimmy Session, projected to go at number 9 overall. He has A, catch in traffic, A, catching, A, deep route running, A, release, elite strength and jumping, only solid speed. I don't really care. This is DeAndre Hopkins in a way, right? We had DeAndre Hopkins at home, but now we have young DeAndre Hopkins. Session maybe an inch taller, maybe has a little bit more weight, but this is the DeAndre Hopkins build. I mean, if you told me this was his set of attributes, I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. Robert Randall at 16. Of course, we'll have 32. Tompkins is expected to go at 24, and we want him. So we'll need to figure out a way to jump the Bills. Okay, that's doable. I don't know why Sessions is expected to fall. He feels pretty unbelievable. And I'm afraid to trade down to mess up the draft order and then potentially have him go, earlier than expected. It just might be a stick and pick at 4 thing. We'll see. Jimmy Session goes at number 2 overall to the Raiders. Dude. All right. Well, this is the first time we've been duped with the draft order before. We cannot stick and pick and take him at number 2 or number 4 because he goes at number 2 overall to a division rival. That is a brutal, brutal thing that just happened to us. I have a trade lined up for T. Higgins, but I would have had a first-round pick too, but it just doesn't work for salary cap reasons. So I'd like to move out of this number 4 overall pick. It's just proving to be a challenge at the moment. So I am going to, I guess, try to get picks in return. I'm just not going to take the number 4 overall pick. All right, we're doing a fun little pick swap here with the Patriots. Trading number 4 and number 32 overall this year and a first-round pick in 2027 for their first this year at number 17 overall, next year, and the year after that. So I hope the Patriots stay terrible, and we, I hope, end up being quite good, obviously. So that would leave us in a really good position in the draft. Robert Randall does go at 16. Jimmy Session at 2, man. Killed me. And for that reason, I'm going to take Dimitri Tompkins here at number 17. Got A man coverage, B press, B zone, great speed, elite jumping, elite acceleration, great agility, change of direction. Just a very, very good overall player that I could see coming in and starting a corner really right away. Jalen Watson maybe could move back to safety, or we could just keep him a corner. But this is a top 5 player in the draft. We know for a fact he was actually the #1 player in the draft. Maybe that receiver isn't quite as good as I thought. The crowd is uproarious for D.D. Gregorius. Dimitri Tompkins. Little Yankees reference. Yankees World Series. Open for big things. Of course, for the people, how are you a Texas Longhorns fan and a Yankees Giants fan? So, from New Jersey, many of you know that. A lot of family in Texas. I grew up a Texas Longhorns fan. A lot of the family went to Texas, made sure I was a Texas fan. Now I live in Texas, so it's kind of an easy thing. But it's hard to see the Yankees in the World Series when they're playing in New York, and here I am in Texas. See if I can go, though. We'll see. 94 speed, 95 acceleration. Yeah, Dimitri Tompkins looks really good. I didn't expect #1 player in the entire draft. I thought for sure that'd be the receiver. But things are looking up. All right, end of the 3rd round now. That's right. We didn't have the number 32 pick overall. We just traded it. So we needed to take that corner there. And I mean, there is a round 2 to 3 corner that's made it here. Eddie Burke doesn't really look all that good, but would be decent value for the spot. Do I want to just take a shot? The center is gone. I saw a center that looked okay. I mean, these tackles are really just awful. I know I need a receiver in just terms of depth, but these guys can't catch or they're really bad. Could add maybe a speed threat here. They don't really exist in the way that I want. It's sorted by awareness here, and this running back that we stumbled upon doesn't really look all that bad. Awareness can kind of be like a cheat code for overall sometimes. He's 21 years old. He's got a name like Junior St. Clair. 6 foot 223. He's just going to be a power back, but he's got decent enough speed. We're going to draft Junior St. Clair here. He's got an insane name, and we're going to draft him really based off that alone. He's actually a 1st-round talent. Ranked number 22, we took him at 96, and he's shifty in the open field. Only normal dev, but 90 speed at 223 pounds. Should be a nice change of pace guy with Isaiah Pacheco. All right, what about pick 160? What are we going to do here? Aiden Spencer I was going to consider with my last pick, and we need another receiver anyway. He's bad. He is F-catching, but he's fast. He can't run routes, but he's fast, and he actually is good down the field. So we'll go Aiden Spencer. Strong hands make contested catches look easy. That's interesting. Concerns about his speed. I didn't have any of those. He's ranked number 124. We took him at 160. I don't know if that scouting report's accurate. We might have had the wrong scouting report for him. I don't think this corner is going to be an 80 overall, but he's a #1 player in the draft, so guess you never know. He's a 79, but we'll be up to an 80 with training camp. 79 man-to-man, 77 slot and zone. Got 82 man, 78 zone, 73 press. And he's an entertainer personality type. Well, obviously was the player to take. No question about that. He's a good scheme fit as well. He's going to stay at corner. Again, no question there. Probably will be CB2. Junior St. Clair is a 75. Power back and elusive back. Cannot catch. That's okay. Really well-rounded. Unfortunately, only normal development. And he's not going to be playing. So it doesn't really matter. The rest of the draft was bad. We actually took a QB. Okay. I mean, I'll check him out. He's a 65 overall. It's actually not too terrible. Only normal development. Not much of an arm. There's nothing to be excited about there. Thought maybe a trade piece, but no. I didn't draft him. The CPU did. Trust me, I didn't draft him. Jimmy Session was a 78 overall. Just not that strong of a draft class. Really. Jaleel Stanton, 76 overall in the 3rd. Same for Brendan Garfield. There was definitely good value down the board with those guys. Outside of that, though, not really. Although this draft class was pretty deep. A lot of 75, 76 overall players. Or at least 75 overall players. I'd be happy with this quarterback. Taking a 76 overall quarterback's pretty good. He's got a cannon. The accuracy may be a bit more in question. But we did get the #1 overall player in the draft. Jimmy Session, I think, is just held down by his athleticism. 90 speed, 89 acceleration is just not that great. But everything else is really quite awesome. Personality, unpredictable, scares me. Doesn't really do anything, but I mean, it does maybe a little bit in these scenarios, but not really. Now, we're going to be able to learn the development trait for Dimitri here. Probably, right? Dimitri Tompkins. We don't necessarily have to upgrade man-to-man. In fact, I probably don't want to. All right, that route was disgusting. We're not going to be able to cover Xavier Worthy. I need to put in a different slot receiver. I mean, there's just no way. He's just way too fast. But maybe that'll happen. He drops the ball. All right, this is going to be a challenge for sure. All right, we might actually have it here. Just don't outrun. Thank you. Sometimes the receiver and the throw outrun the corner, even if you're in decent position. But we're actually going to get gold pretty easily here in the first attempt. So I thought Worthy would be more of a challenge. And I guess the drop really saved us. 13K is, I mean, beating it very easily. So the only thing we can really do by getting him up to an 80 overall guaranteed is revealing his dev trait, or the fact that it would be superstar or better. But I don't really care about that so much. I know zone coverage is not going to be upgraded by the CPU, so I'm going to do zone coverage. His overall does jump up to an 80. Give me a big boost. Take +2. Up to an 80, I feel like is fairly good. But I didn't see any ability thing pop up, right? So he's going to have only star dev. Now, we will be getting some boosts here with off-season workouts. Kingsley Suamataia worked on something, and so did George Karlaftis. So that's good. 3,000 XP for Kingsley Suamataia, and +1 to pass block, finesse, and power. Wow, you're really spending a whole offseason to get +1. All right. We did get an 80 overall player. So we should be getting some type of boost here. Yeah, we got the defensive playmaker. We got the corner, right? He's an 80 overall. He's a corner. Which player? Dude, our first pick. Where is he on the depth chart? Is he CB3 right now? Promise broken. This game sucks. He is in at CB3. I mean, literally, my promise was not broken. Everyone gets a -1 or 2 because I didn't actually break a promise, but the game's like, you did, though. No, I didn't. #1 player of the draft is a corner from BYU. Interesting. Left tackle, a bunch of corners in this class. So we'll keep Noah Gray for now. Don't really have a third tight end. We could change that in free agency. And then Tompkins revealed to have star dev, which we knew. I don't know why it's not putting my edge rushers in the right spot. It can't just be BJ Thompson. Doesn't make any sense. We have George Karlaftis. We have Mike Dana. We have Felix Onyedike Uzama. I don't know why it's doing this. I am going to throw Xavier Worthy back in the slot, though. I want him getting the most of the targets there. So we know Jared Wiley is about to go off. Rashee Rice is just going to be fine. And I wonder if Worthy is wide receiver 1 and slot receiver. I wonder what that means for the rest of production. Because wide receiver 1 with DeAndre Hopkins, he didn't really do very much last year. In terms of, you know, the big picture. Is Worthy, Rice were way more productive. So was Kelsey. But now that Worthy's wide receiver 1 and in the slot, what does that mean for everybody else? That's my alarm to shut the fuck up and start this next season. See you at the midseason mark. 3-4 at the midseason mark. Okay. I don't really have much to say about that. I guess DeAndre Hopkins was holding this team together. And without him, we are completely lost. Why are we so bad now? At least we're not the Titans. I mean, they're 0-6. I feel like our numbers say we're not that bad. 12th in points per game on offense, 13th on defense. I guess that is like 3-4 is not completely unbelievable with those numbers. It's okay. It's not exceptional. Do we go out and we make a trade? I mean, Mahomes seems like he's balling out. We're not getting much from Pacheco, but maybe that's because right tackle's a disaster. Although it shouldn't be. Or I feel like our defense could be better. Receiving. Too much Sky Moore. We could use a receiver. So here at the deadline, I mentioned wide receiver being a need, but right tackle also. I know Jason Peters did a good enough job, so I'm not super worried about tackle. We don't really have a lot of depth at linebacker at all, but I would say that wide receiver to me feels like the biggest need just because of how often we used 3 last year and found a lot of success. We're projected to have 2 quite good picks in this year's draft, especially this top one, projected to be firmly inside the top 10. I don't necessarily need to go out and trade for a superstar. Just somebody that's a little bit better than Sky Moore would be preferred. Now, I want to see what this Raiders receiver looks like. Star Dev, okay, 80 overall now. He's a decent player, but nothing crazy. All right, well, this is a trade I didn't expect to make, but here we are. We're trading Jalen Watson. It's in the final year of his deal. We're trading a first-round pick. It's ours, which currently is supposed to be pretty good, and a second next year for Puka Nacua, a second-round pick from the Rams, and a third-round pick from the Rams this year. So I didn't expect to make a big splash like that, but here we are. We've traded now for one of the better young receivers in the league. He's under contract for the next 2 seasons, and it is a big, big upgrade on Sky Moore. Still don't love Wanye Morris at right tackle. This morale thing is actually killing us. Even though we didn't fail the mission, we failed the mission according to some stupid metric they have to track it. So, kind of annoying, but I feel good about the team overall. We're just having a bad year. And that's disappointing after winning the Super Bowl, but it happens. You get some slumps sometimes. I'm going to sign some more depth on the defensive line. And the linebacking core just feels like we're really thin there right now. So, we get some off-ball players. All these linebackers are rush players. Not really what we want. We just need guys to be there. Just backups is totally fine. Well, it looks like we missed the playoffs here. Going 9-8 with a 93 overall team. Yeah, unfortunately, we were the last team out. The 8 seed does not get in. Patrick Mahomes still had a very good year. 4,400 yards, 45 touchdowns to 9 picks. We tried to make a run at it, but our running attack really just completely fell apart compared to what it was last year. Checo was not very productive. Xavier Worthy was still dominant. Rashee Rice had 17 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. Of course, we bring in Puka Nacua. Jared Wiley had a very good year. No, Travis Kelce actually obviously hurts the offense as well. But really, no running game hurt us a lot. 15.5 sacks, though, for Chris Jones. Our pass rush actually showed up this year. 9 sacks for Karlaftis, 7 for Felix Onyedika-Uzomah, and then a number of interceptions for the team. We just didn't win enough games. I mean, our actual production was pretty good. We had the number 9 team in terms of points per game, the number 7 team in points per game allowed, yet we just couldn't get enough wins. That's pretty tough. Head to the offseason. A Jags-Lions Super Bowl. The Jags come out on top. I'll tell you what, I have a really bizarre, typically for the Super Bowl, I'll say, oh, this is the whoever bowl. And I'll say a player, Allen Robinson, would not fit. He was never a Lion. I don't know why I said him. But C.J. Mosley, not the linebacker. There was a defensive tackle, C.J. Mosley, that I remember for some reason that I am 99% sure played on both the Lions and Jaguars. Marvin Jones would have been a fit, who was the receiver who played on both. Anyway, not the season we were looking for clearly, but minor setback for a major comeback. We are not going to mess around with these BS storylines that can completely derail a season, even if we pass the goal. We need to bring back Creed Humphrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Leo Chanel, Felix Onyedika-Uzomah as a 5th-year option, Justin Reed. Like, these guys want to be here, but I'm just not sure we're going to have the money to do it, right? $43 million in 2026 cap room. Creed's going to be a little over $10 million, maybe significantly over $10 million. Got to do a long-term extension here. And Creed Humphrey returns, but now we only have 31 mil. Pacheco's going to be expensive, but running backs really do matter in Madden simulation, so we're going to try and keep him around, and Isaiah Pacheco returns a little over 10 million per year, down to 19 million. I want Chanel, but he's going to want to get paid like an edge rusher, and we can't give him 20 million a year. We really can't, so that puts me in a pretty difficult position. Joe Tooney I want back, but I don't really see a way where that happens. He's just going to be like 20 million. Oh, man. Okay. So with 19 million left, we could offer Justin Reed another one-year deal and then franchise tag Chanel. Let's do that. That'll keep the band together a little while longer. Justin Reed's back for one more year. I didn't think we'd re-sign him. I know I said we wouldn't, but I'm looking at our actual available options, and it was actually pretty important that we bring him back. Brian Cook, we can let walk. Josh Williams, we don't need. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and franchise tag Leo Chanel. Because, I mean, I just can't pay him like he's a pass rusher when he's, like, really not. So, we'll just offer him anything to get back under the cap here. He's going to decline it, but he's not going to test free agency. We're going to franchise tag him. It's extremely expensive, but it lets us keep the band together. As I said, lets us keep our players and gives us a pretty good chance to win in 2026. So that's what we're playing for. We obviously cannot do anything in free agency. You know, when you're paying a big-time quarterback like Mahomes, obviously it's incredible to have that guy on the team. However, it hurts the rest of your team because you have to pay them a ridiculous amount. And I don't even think this is a contract I can restructure. It's just incredibly expensive, but it's not even as expensive as it could be. In 2026, the cap hit is $33.3 million. In 2027, it jumps to over $70 million for a year. It's absurd. Be a restructure candidate next year, I suppose. We could restructure Creed, even though we literally just signed him. We'll need to extend Trent McDuffie. We're in a bit of a tough spot, guys, which is not exactly surprising, but it's going to be difficult to keep this team as good as we want it to be. So there does appear to be a really good corner at the top of the draft here. It's just not going to be something we consider. Really more thinking about something on the offensive line. Stephen Smith from USC looks like a player that would be worth drafting, I would say. Might have to move up a spot, swap with the Chiefs. Of course, we only have one first-round pick now after trading for Puka Nacua. There are really good corners in this class. It just isn't something I think we should prioritize. I think we should look in other directions, but there are really good corners. We have Puka Nacua now, so receiver's not as big of a need. I think we could completely ignore that. But something on the offensive line, I mean, I guess there could be a path to taking a corner if one is more zone-oriented. You know, looking into our secondary, I keep re-signing Justin Reed, and we don't really have much in the way of depth there at all. I mean, corner's actually more of a need than I probably thought after trading Jalen Watson. I don't know. It's not something I should probably trade up for. Might even move Mike Dana. I mean, he's 257 pounds. He can't play defensive tackle. We have needs at D tackle, left guard, right tackle, secondary-ish. I mean, we're going to have to take an offensive lineman somewhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, inside the top 5, but it's going to have to be at some point in this draft for sure. And we need someone that's going to be starter caliber. When you look at our picks, we have, let's see here, 5, 42, 50, 74. Those are going to be our best chances to actually land starters. We'll see what we can do. Okay, this is good. Austin Brooks, who we focus scouted, is a round 1 talent. Currently projected to go outside of the first round. It might end up having to be a player we trade up for. And then George McKinney, also outside of the first round, is a projected round, or a true round 1 to 2 talent. So there are decent offensive linemen in this class we can take a chance on. I think Stephen Smith might be worth it, though. He looks really good. He is 23, so, you know, one of the slightly older prospects. I think these guys in that same kind of realm of being good. I mean, the problem with a guy like Darryl Smith is he looks awesome against, you know, rush players, but as a run blocker, he doesn't really offer a whole lot. I think Stephen Smith is the most well-rounded, and if he's there at 4, that's going to be a player we try to swap with the Browns for. If he's not, we'll pivot. I'm not going to, hinge our entire draft on a trade up for a tackle. We definitely can go a different direction. But if he's there at 4 after this pick, which he is, we're going to call the Browns, see what we can do, and I think we can find an instant starting right tackle with this pick. We know we need defensive tackle as well. We're doing the best we can, right? A trade up maybe doesn't make the most sense in this spot, but if we can even get 36 from Cleveland, that would be really good. All right, let's try and do that. Let's do, can I do 550? This obviously is not going to go through, but 550, and I would do a 2 in 2028 for 4 in 36. That's a good trade, I think. So we invest more heavily now. The Browns are more of a rebuild mode. They get a future pick plus 2 other picks. We move up 1 spot, but also trade up into the 2nd round. And that's with the goal of helping out our offensive line. Stephen Smith is the first one tackle from USC, is 23 years old, pretty well-rounded athletically, and then skills-wise, very well-rounded. A better run blocker than a pass blocker, but is not bad as a pass blocker. Stephen Smith, welcome to Kansas City. Starting right tackle. He's the number 9 player in the draft. We took him at number 4. Offensive linemen typically are not the highest rated in Madden, but this is going to be a good pick for us with 88 strength, 80 acceleration, and hidden development on the offensive line. That is our future starting right tackle, and he's our current starting right tackle is going to be the goal. We'll simulate now to the 2nd round and just see who's on the board. We don't really have, in my opinion, the picks in order to trade up a whole lot, but Austin Brooks is the player we wanted, right? There's a pick ahead of us. That is super frustrating, actually. We could take a center. There's a round 1 talent at wide receiver, which is not necessarily a big need. He's just a slot type. He's actually very fast. He can catch well. What if we traded one of our top receivers for an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, probably? Yeah, okay. I know it's going to be weird, but I think we're going to take a center, or no, we're going to take a receiver with this pick, and then we're going to trade a receiver for... We're going to trade a receiver for a defensive tackle, probably. I mean, both of these contracts are up. We traded for Nakua. We're going to call that a rental. And I like the idea of adding Dexter Lawrence, if possible. He's a 99 overall. He's extremely expensive. We can only barely afford him. But this trade is unlikely to go through. Maybe somebody a little bit cheaper, but is, still very good. Robert Randall is a superstar X Factor. Remember looking at him in the draft? He's an 87 overall, only 23 years old. We'll try to make this happen. It's not going to be easy, but this would be a really, really good player to add. And I don't. This is just probably not going to be doable. Yeah, it's not. But the idea was good. Okay, Puka Nacua straight up for Derek Brown is accepted. All right. Well, it was tough to trade for a true defensive tackle, but that's what Derek Brown is, really. So he's a really good fit with our team. Of course, he's currently listed at defensive end, and we could have gone after a defensive end as well. Wow, how am I missing him? He's right there. So we'll move him to defensive tackle. Now we have a really good duo on the interior. The edge rush situation is weird with this team because it keeps wanting to put B.J. Thompson in and not any of my other players. I find that super strange. Derek Brown up to a 94 overall, by the way, at defensive tackle. So, I mean, we're in a really good spot. Never know what to do with these. I like defensive rally, though. It seems like that would be good. But, wide receiver with this pick. I'm okay with a rookie. It's going to be cheaper. I mean, Nakua had an expiring contract, right? So, I think that was just something that had to be done. And Dave Holloway is a true round 1 talent. He can play the slot, which is probably where I would have him anyway. He's got very good speed. He's not much of a route runner, but he can catch. He's just purely a slot guy. And in the 2nd round, I think that's okay. He's athletic enough. He's the number 14 ranked player in the class. We took him at 36. He's only got normal dev, but that could go up with a good season. But athletic, can catch, is cheap. All right, at number 42 now. Where is this center? That's who this pick has to be. George McKinney from Texas. Hook him. Looks very good overall, to be honest. Round 1 to 2 talent, but he looks like he could be a starter at guard right now at 6'3", 313. George McKinney is the number 24 ranked player. Took him at 42. He does have hidden dev, 89 strength, 79 acceleration. Very nice. Yeah, that's an instant starter. And then at number 74, really our last chance to do anything big here. There is a round 1 talent at wide receiver still, and we might just go best player available here. Alfonso Millard's a deep threat. Looks very well-rounded. Has elite speed. I wish I saw this guy. That's on me. Might not have taken the slot receiver. Alfonso Mallard looks very good. Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer, must-draft. He's ranked top 10 in the class with track speed, of course. He ran in the 4.2s. He's got 97 speed, 93 acceleration. Skills-wise, I mean, we saw A, spectacular catch, A, deep route running, B, catching, B, release. What an addition to the team. And that makes it so that we could even trade Rashee Rice if we wanted to. He has an expiring contract. He made some big-time mistakes off the field, so I don't feel that bad about it. And I will keep bringing it up. You know why? Because he's just... no one seems to care. He's just going to get away with it. I don't know if that's true, but he at least gets a reprieve for now. Could have killed multiple people and then fled from the scene. Kind of crazy. All right, Andrew Kelly out of Auburn, we're going to take a chance on here. Speed rusher, B tackle, C block shed. He's elite speed, C finesse moves. Worth taking a chance on at this point in the draft, I would say. He's horrendous. Ranked number 312, we took him at 114. Awful player. All right, so this is how things went. 77 overall for Stephen Smith, 75 for Dave Holloway, 76 for Alfonso Mallard, and 74 for George McKinney, which could go up at left guard where he's going to play for us. Maybe 75. I can see that happening. Sometimes that happens. And, of course, going to move Stephen Smith over to right tackle. He actually goes up to a 76, making the class look even better. I imagine the corners are going to be the true top players in the class, but again, it really didn't make us, or it didn't really make a lot of sense for us to take those players, especially not trade up for those players. But I like our class a lot in general, and I think we did very, very well. Courtney Tutt was an 82 overall. It's 4 straight corners to start the draft here, and then we got the next best player, sandwiched in between another corner. So overall, I think we pretty much killed the draft. Took the best players for us. And 2 receivers is a little bit strange. And we could potentially move one of those guys now if we wanted to. I don't think I'm going to be trading Rice at this point. I know I hyped it up as a possibility. But we need him right now. And now we just have a little bit more depth at receiver. But this is a pretty good-looking group. I mean, Sky Moore could get traded. We definitely don't need him. But the offense looks pretty great. I'm hoping for better things this season. And then defensively, you know, I like who we have here. I'm just slightly disappointed with, you know, our defensive ends. I wish they were just a little bit better. I don't love Mike Dana. I feel like we've been searching for a true top edge rusher for a while now. We've had Felix Onyedike-Uzomah getting some playing time, but I'm not sure he's exactly been consistent enough. But he's a scheme fit there. I don't know. It feels like we should be quite good. We could use another corner. We could use, you know, some backup safeties. But, I mean, Mike Dana, we should just probably trade. Okay, wow. Well, there's our defensive end upgrade. Mike Dana in a first, projected to be number 5 overall. That's, I believe, from New England, right? Or Brian Burns. Well, it's a major upgrade. Bit of a weird scheme fit, but a major, major upgrade. I know the Giants traded for him, paid him big time money, but now we have him. Yeah, he should be pretty incredible for us. That's the big-time upgrade I've been looking for. Karlaftis and Burns is a really great pass rush duo at the edge spots. And Uzama is a good backup. Now we can just sign random backups out of free agency. We don't have a first-round pick this year anymore, but we really don't need one. We're about winning right now. And even though I think we're set up for the future in terms of how much talent we have, you know, we are going all in this season. And Brian Burns certainly helps us do that. Now we'll fill out the team with guys like Nick Cross and Terrell Edmonds, sure. Need another corner as well, but we'll fill that out, and I'll see you guys at the midseason mark. I don't know why the depth chart just doesn't think George Karlaftis should ever play. It's so strange. I signed Zadarius Smith. He was one of the few that we brought in, but it's so weird with the depth chart. Midseason mark, back to winning ways. We are 5-2. This is what we needed. A really good bounce back season, and we are back on track to make the playoffs. Still have Noah Gray for some reason. We could use a third tight end, actually. Star dev for McKinney and Smith and Mallard. A little bit disappointing on those dev traits, but that's okay. And then defensively, we're still rocking. You know, Brian Burns is such a crazy addition to this team. Actually getting, you know, elite pass rush is phenomenal. So, you know, we should really start to get back to where we were in Season 1. Let's move Dave Holloway into the slot, though. It might be too late to win him Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I like his chances of getting a dev trait increase. I think he's going to be productive enough to have a really good chance to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, so we'll see. But 5-2, we're in a really good position. We have 18 players who will be free agents, $30 million in 2027 cap room. We will be losing a lot of talent. I mean, that's for sure. McDuffie is a must bring back. If anything else, you know, happens negatively where all these guys leave, Trent McDuffie was the one where we needed to bring him back. Other than that, we'll lose Chanel, Shamari Connor, Justin Reed. We'll lose probably Rashee Rice, which means we should trade him here, right? I just don't think so. We're going for a win this season. Rice helps us do that. I'll see you at the playoffs, and you have to imagine we'll be participating. First round bye, my heart kind of skipped a beat there for a minute. 14-3. Of course, usually we're in the wild card, but not with this Chiefs team. We either get a first round bye or don't make the playoffs. Mahomes, what a year! 5,000 yards passing, 55 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. Pacheco is back to being good. Thank you. 4.6 yards per carry, 11 TDs, 1,100 yards. Receiving, we have Xavier Worthy leading the way with yards over 1,100, 14 touchdowns over 1,000 yards for Rice. Jared Wiley dominating. Nearly 1,000 yards and 90 catches, 9 touchdowns. Dave Holloway, 10 scores for the rookie. Mallard was productive as well. This was amazing to see. Defensively, we're as good as we've been. 14 TFLs for Derek Brown, 13 for Burns. We're just bringing the Panthers back together, by the way. I just realized that. 2 former Panthers now. 16.5 sacks for Burns, 13 for Brown, 7 for Jones, 5 for Karlaftis. He's so weird. We only had 5 interceptions as a team, but our pass rush was making sure that not a lot of opportunities to get interceptions. We're just getting to the quarterback before that. Up to a 95 overall as a team, and we will play the Indianapolis Colts in the division round here. And I mean, they're an 87 overall. This might not be an easy victory, but it was a win. Playoff bracket 41-27. So it was pretty comfortable, I would say, I guess then. And now we'll take on the Miami Dolphins. Home field advantage. We will jump in. I'd take a snow game here, right? Dolphins trying to come up and play in the snow. It's not your game. Nope, it's a beautiful day. Players not even wearing sleeves. Okay. Well, there goes that home field advantage with the weather. It probably is very cold here, but see if we can start hot. We're up 14-3. 21-3 going into the half. All right, we're cleaning up against what was thought to be a pretty highly explosive Dolphins offense. It's not existing. 35-10 is your final. Mahomes throws for 253 and 3 scores. Love it. It'll be an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl. Okay. So we know about that. We've seen this one before. And see who comes out on top. It's the 2 1 seeds in each conference. All right. Boring. But this is the team update. We are 95 overall. We have Holloway not going up to Star Dev, unfortunately. But, I mean, Smith is playing up to an 84. Stephen Smith. George McKinney's playing up to an 83. And the offensive line looks incredible. Jared Wiley up to Superstar Dev. I mean, Xavier Worthy at a 98 overall with morale. And then defensively, we have Fitzgerald. Look at you. He was a hidden dev rookie that the CPU just drafted late. Looks to be a pretty solid defensive lineman. Not really much of a pass rusher, but overall, really solid third, rotational defensive lineman to add in, or defensive tackle. And overall, we look pretty awesome. I mean, Tompkins playing up to an 89. McDuffie into the high 90s. This is a very, very good team. I mean, we got nearly a plus 10 overall and the best team from the NFC this year. This needs to be Super Bowl number 2. Let's go. Here we go. Can we take on the Eagles and beat them for another Super Bowl? No points in the first half for us. We're down 6-0. Finally a touchdown, 7-6. We take the lead in one of the lowest scoring Super Bowls of the modern era. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith for a 4-yard touchdown. Just 51 seconds left to play in this game. 3 timeouts. You left too much time for Mahomes. We just need 3 to force overtime. We're, of course, playing for more than that. Mahomes flushed out of the pocket. Running left. He's got too much speed. Barnes can't chase him down. A huge scramble by Patrick Mahomes. And we could see that happening in real life. That feels like exactly what would happen in this type of a spot. 43 seconds. Still all timeouts. Lobbing down the field for Xavier Worthy. Touchdown. Instant answer. Get your horns up. Flash into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Did we give Jalen Hurts too much time? Probably not. But maybe. They're going to need a touchdown if we can get this extra point to go. And we could have been more methodical. I typically like to score with little to no time. But when you have a guaranteed go-ahead score with less than 40 seconds to play, I think you need to take it. It was a 13-second drive where Mahomes was wheeling and dealing. Wheels on the ground, of course, and dealing through the air. 38 seconds to go. Philly with all timeouts. But we still need to do a good job of keeping them in front of us and keeping them inbounds, right? We want them to burn those timeouts and not just have them as they potentially get into, our own territory. So we'll try to just play really conservatively and not let them beat us down the field, but Hurts going down. Great pressure, and they're not going to call a timeout. Oh, this game is so stupid. I love it. They'll call a timeout with 11 seconds. They let all the time go off the clock to call their first timeout with 11 seconds. Unless they know something I don't. That could be a disastrous mistake. Classic Nick Sirianni. Idiot. 6 seconds to go. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is the worst clock management in the history of the world. I was about to say that can't be caught. That almost gives them a chance. 1 second to go. 4th and 8. Everybody get back, except we're going to blitz Chanel. We're going to blitz Bolton. And we're not going to let Hurts hold the football forever. They blocked it really well, but it's a check down. A nice step out of bounds there for Dallas Goedert. And that is the Super Bowl. The Madden end of game logic is as bad as it's ever been. We've seen 2 examples of that in this video, and that's not a rarity. Oh my goodness, that was so stupid. But I'm not complaining. I'll take Super Bowl number 2, as the late, great Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Banger song. Look into it. Super Bowl number 2 here of the video. And I've lost track, actually, of how many the Chiefs have in real life. I would say they have 4 overall. think they may have won one with Len Dawson back in the day, and then a couple with Mahomes. Right? Something like that. I would say the Chiefs have at least 3, but maybe 4. Either way, Andy Reid lifts another. We've won 2 in this video. Again, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. The Kansas City Chiefs have won, let's see here, championships in 1970, 2020, 2023, and 2024. Yes, so they have 4, and now add 2 more. 6 total rings for the Hunt family and the Chiefs. 17-13 is your final. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.